I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
Same old us.
what's up, my son Lennon?
What's up, Tamika Mallory?
Yeah, that's me. That's my
That's
name.
who you be. You know, I'm feeling
Tamika
good.
D. Mallory.
Tamika,
You know, I be making them change that on like checks and contracts.
You make sure the D is there.
Because that's my name.
You make sure that you ain't gonna miss the D.
I'm dead
Pause.
serious.
Pause. I'm just saying.
I mean, are y'all serious about the
I'm
pause
just saying
thing?
the pause is there. It's a thing. People do it.
Why?
So, because it's a nature. You don't want to get caught saying.
But what if you a grown person that's gonna be 50 years old in 2 years?
The grown people is the ones who've been doing it. It started with the grown people.
Oh my God!
You
I'm
see
not gonna
Mace
do it.
and Dame Dash.
I
like
saw Audra Styles said that Styles
Everybody.
P told her do it right because she was saying it. But like I was going to get ice cream. Pause. He's like that
They
is
ain't
not
got that
what
to
it's
do it.
supposed to be used for.
That ain't it. That ain't it, Audra. I love you, but that ain't it. Speaking of ice cream, I ain't been eating no ice cream. You know, my workout, like, it's gonna be tough this summer. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm back.
You gonna be sitting
I'm
down.
tired of the dad bod. I had the dad bod for about a good 2-3 years. I couldn't really see my
Really? You
six
think
pack.
so?
Yeah, my six pack wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? I felt my stomach over my pants. It was like, nah, this ain't me. So, you know, the last few months, been getting it right. I see my six pack again. It's tough. I'm down about 10 pounds, almost 11 pounds. You know, Ramadan helped me get on that road. You know what I'm saying? So that exercise, man. Yeah, I be trying to treat a lot. Everybody want to cheat the grind. Tamika, like, I want to do. Don't cheat the grind.
Excuse me.
Don't cheat the grind.
Excuse me.
You don't really cheat.
First,
You
of
have
all,
been working out. I have to admit.
and I have curbed a lot of my bad habits in terms of eating. I need to do better. I realize that sugar is my addiction. Like
Yes.
I have really, listen, I have traded in other addictions for sugar, and it's serious. Like I now am beginning to see that if I don't have sugar or if I don't have something sweet, I get agitated, and that is a problem. So now apple slices is my new thing, or some type of fruit to try to help me. And then you know what? I also eat. Y'all know because I keep them around all the time. Crybabies, baby. I got to have me a crybaby. That's my jam. I was eating. Let me tell y'all this story. So I used to keep a bag of double bubble gum.
Double bubble.
Yes.
Lord
The
have
individual
mercy.
double bubble gums. First, I used to have bazooka gum, but them joints just be too stale. Like maybe people don't eat them as much as they used to, so they just leave. You just buy you a box of rocks, and so come on, you can't do that. By the way, eating gum, I don't think is healthy anyway. But eating gum, see, eating gum. This is how I chew gum. I eat them. So then I went to double bubble, and somehow I lucked up. And out of the CVS store, I found a bag of double bubble gums, but it also had the hard ones that you buy from. Because I'm one of those people, as you know, because y'all have seen me. We could be. One time we were in like the back roads of I don't know where the hell we were, and my ass was running all around trying to collect 25 cents to get one of them gums out of the machine.
I know what you're talking about.
That was something we wouldn't talk about here, but it was like a thing going on in the community, and they wanted to inform us, but they didn't want to talk out in public. So and I'm running
And you
around
trying to
instead
find
of the meeting. I'm out here
Lord
trying to
have
get
mercy.
25 cents to get some bubble gum out of that dirty machine that never gets cleaned in the inside. I like bubble gum. So when I got the bag with the double bubbles in it, it had the crybabies was in there too. It was crybabies and a few of the little other hard ones. So then I took the whole bag of double bubbles and took it to the hair salon and said, I can't have this no more.
And
I
gave it
ordered
away.
me some crybabies. And now I'm just loving a bag of crybabies. I know.
This is a lot. I was talking about my six pack and you went to crybabies.
Well, I'm just saying sugar
Sugar.
is a problem.
Listen, man, health is wealth.
For real.
And I'm just enjoying my health journey again. I'm back, like, inspired with my workout and just being healthy, eating healthy. Well, I'm still fasting technically because I do intermittent fasting anyway.
Anyway, you lived like that.
Yeah, and I feel myself being a lot more stronger.
Y'all don't really eat like the girls eat. I'm not
Mm.
gonna lie. Like men do not eat like women. Because being on the road with y'all, Linda and I can put down some
Yo,
food.
I don't even know how Linda. Listen to me. I don't even know where Linda fit the food. She gets a plate. See, the thing about you is you pick off your plate.
But I
Like
order 4 plates.
Tamika ordered 4 plates of food, 4 main plates, entrees. She ordered steak, she ordered ribs, and then she ordered shrimp and this, and it'd be with mashed potatoes on here,
I don't
rice
eat
on
like
here,
that no more. I don't eat like that
vegetables
anymore.
on here. Then she
Yeah,
go
I don't eat that no more.
2 bites, 2 bites of each of them. And then she just keep going around this. Oh, I'm done. And she'll pack it up. Or she'll be like, oh,
I
don't
eat
worry about it. I don't want
leftovers,
it.
so don't think people that I
But
throw away
Linda,
food
Linda will order the whole entree with like a double
and eat
entree.
my
She'll
stuff
eat a
too.
surf and turf with the fries and all the stuff. Finish that and then start picking on Tamika's food because she knows she ain't gonna eat it. And I'd be like, how did she eat all that? I couldn't eat all that. Lord have mercy.
We
These
do
ladies
eat,
can
but we are better. And this is so this behavior ended as of December of 2023, and now we're getting 2 meals, not 4. Vegetables, not a lot of carbs at all. I have cut back carbs and it's killing me. I had carbs today, but and they say you can still eat certain things, but you really do have to work out. It's a lot of people that's out here on the Zimpy,
The Zimpy.
and I'm with them. I
They
don't
out
have
here
no
on
problem.
that
They on
Zimpy.
Monjero, they on the Zimpy. I feel you, but you have to work out because
Oh,
you
you still
looking
gotta
a
work
little
out.
weird.
If you ain't still getting that workout and you just on that Zimpy,
You got that look, that it's a look.
then
People
you
can
ain't
look at
standing
you. You
on
gotta
business.
work out. So I mean, I literally have had a full lifestyle change, but I don't drink soda at all, juice,
Me neither.
none of that stuff. So it's a new thing, but I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. So anyway, it is what it is. My thought of the day. I saw Donald Trump Jr. and he made a very, very powerful statement. He said, the Republican Party that we once knew is no longer. He said the last step is for MAGA to take over the RNC, which is the Republican National Convention, where he's talking about going there and overthrowing the whole joint and them taking over. Right? And he said, once we accomplish that, it is going to be the MAGA party. This man said this himself. So, when people start going back and forth, we arguing Republicans versus Democrats, we're not even really arguing Republicans versus Democrats anymore. We're arguing Democrats versus MAGA. That's really what we're talking about.
It's gonna be everybody versus MAGA in a minute. Because
Right,
the
independents,
Republicans realize
everybody.
that this thing is
Even
crazy.
some Republicans, some moderate Republicans, because the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of those right-wing Republicans, what's his name, Mark Gatz, she's from Georgia, and he's from Florida. The way in which they super MAGA. They not even a little MAGA. The way that they're pulling,
They the Magnum MAGA.
the way that they are pulling and shifting the Republican Party towards this extremist mindset, it is not the same Republican Party that you could play with and be like, oh, we could kind of possibly work with them. There's no working with them. They vote against everything that has to do with us and a little bit of what we deserve. We can't even get everything that we need from the Democrats.
Yeah.
Right? We don't even have them in there 100% advocating for like real substantive change. It's only a few people within the Democratic Party that's going to do that. These MAGA folks, at every single angle, they are turning it down. They are pushing back against anything. In fact, they want to roll it all back.
That's a fact.
And unfortunately, our people sit up there and support it. So, some of our people, let me be careful with absolutes. So my thought of the day is that I hope people understand that we're not sitting up here, or I'm not, because you have your own mindset around this. I am not arguing that it's the Democrats are better than the Republicans. I'm saying that I will never support MAGA. And when Donald Trump's own son says that the Republican Party is becoming that and that they intend to take over and make sure that MAGA is the order of the day, that bullshit make America great again, which ultimately means going back to a time when black people had even less rights than we have now, I can never align with that. And their party leader is his father, Donald Trump. So no, I don't support them. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm puking on myself about having to continuously be involved with a party that I also does not feel like, I also don't feel that this party deserves my vote, my energy? Absolutely, absolutely. It makes me sick to my stomach. But at the same time, I realize that whatever comes out of not just this election, but every single election, you got Congressman Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, Congresswoman Cori Bush, Angela Asselbrooks running for Senate in Maryland. You have Hill Harper running for office. I mean, you've got people that are under attack by MAGA and AIPAC, which MAGA and AIPAC are aligned in many ways. Okay? This is some serious shit. And I know that my granddaughter's future is directly connected to the decisions that we make. So we could talk all of this, don't care, don't matter. I hear you, I feel you. But I'm just telling you that these people have a plan and a design and a strategy that includes the courts, whether they be federal courts, state courts. They are attempting to take back everything that anybody you respect fought for.
That's a fact. I can't even. That's not even something that's even worth. I mean, it's even arguable. Nobody can't argue that. But only thing what they try to say is, well, we don't need that. We don't need Brown versus Board of Education. We don't need Roe versus Wade. We don't need DEI. Like, it's just stupid. Like, what do you mean? The reason why we got it is because we needed it. Half the fucking the people that you celebrate that are in position that have been able to change the future. I mean, change and make change and create a better future for us because they were forced to put them in. They didn't never want to put us in no position of power or anything. Like, they were forced to do it. So you just giving them the opportunity to say, you know what? We just gonna make this company 100% white again. We're gonna make sure these schools is 100% white again. You know, maybe one, if you got an Ivy League black kid that grew up that actually had access to wealth, then maybe we'll get him in. But we don't have to do none of that shit.
You know what DEI is? DEI is women having the opportunity to really make money to take care of themselves and their families
And create generational wealth.
create and have businesses, right? That's DEI. You know what else DEI is? Let's go back beyond that. Or actually, it would be same time. Voting rights was DEI. That was us having the ability for the voting pool to be diverse, where white people did not control everything. They might not have called it DEI at the time, but that's what the language developed to be later on. DEI is a lot of things. DEI is even our ability to get on certain college campuses, to get the resources that our schools deserve. DEI is so much bigger than this thing that people keep talking about. It means that you aren't qualified. Like, what?
That's crazy.
Like, we're more qualified. And I'm going to keep saying this. We're more qualified. You know, and the sad part is, and I will leave it here. One of the things we talk about all the time, and I said this when I was addressing Daniel Cameron after he did not do justice by Breonna Taylor, her family, and the community of Louisville, Kentucky, and Kentucky overall, and ultimately America, by allowing those officers not to be prosecuted for murdering that young, beautiful girl. Okay? I said this to him. You just like the ones who were a part of selling us into enslavement, either because you are ignorant for real, willfully ignorant, whatever they've offered you, you believe that somehow if you align with, or you have the proximity to whatever they have, their wealth, their power, their whiteness, so you go get married to them and then try to work alongside them and throw your own family, your own people away, you are complicit. So I'm saying that while we sit here and own the talking points of those who want to be our oppressors, we are in the process of selling ourselves right back into the same loop that we have fought so hard to get out of. So I just hope that black men who hear that know that love me for real. Don't love me just in the bed. Don't love me just, we cool and you support me and yes, sis. No, our bodies, our rights, everything about us, everything that you claim you love is under attack. And you out here talking about we not qualified enough to get the job. Brothers, let's be for real.
That's a word there. I don't even know what to say. I feel a little bad to bring some music after that.
Well,
know what I'm
we deserve the balance of a little music.
little balance, but listen.
Little music might lighten it up. What you got?
Artist from Philadelphia, OG. Like, this is what I call real OG. Like, somebody sent it to me, and it just touched me. This brother is lyrically dope. His message is really trying to wake up the youth. It reminds me of pretty much my message. His name is Saint Basil. He's dope. He's a dope artist, and he has this song that he released a video for where he took the Somehow, Some Way, Jay-Z and Beanie song, that one of my favorite songs. He took the beat and he made it into his own, and it's him schooling these young boys and just talking to them about the streets and the reality and just trying to inspire and motivate them. And it's lyrically crazy. So
Saint Basil.
Yep, Saint Basil.
Saint Basil. So it's like my speed.
You'll love it.
The old speed.
You'll love it.
You know who I like as an artist? Lola Brooke.
Lola is dope. Shout out to Lola.
The way
man.
she come out.
Lola is. Shout out to my big man 80, who is she signed to. 80 is one of Mano's best friends, and 80 got shot a while ago. He's been in a wheelchair, but he's always been like my heart. And he started his own company. He signed Lola, and they've been doing their thing. So shout out to 80. Shout out to Lola. You know, the first time, like, I always been a fan of hers. And I first met her at Yankee Stadium when they did the concert.
I love her.
She gave me a big hug. Was like, yo, I love everything you do. So her energy is just amazing.
She came out on the stage for the what was it?
Keisha
Cole concert. Oh my God. And Scarlett, I love Scarlett. I happened to see her not long ago, and she was with OG Bar at Brooklyn Chop House one night. And Brooklyn Chop House is a black man's restaurant that is in the middle of Times Square, and it's several floors, and it's very fabulous.
Yes, shout out to Don Pooh.
And Don Pooh, that's right. And she was at a table sitting down with OG Bar, who's like the uncle to us all. And you could tell OG was schooling her.
Shout out to Bar. I seen Bar yesterday.
He was schooling her, telling her what it is. And I just walked over to her and I was like, "You are beautiful. Don't let anybody make you feel like you have to defend your beauty. You just beautiful." And she was so beautiful in person, just a beautiful spirit, so sweet and kind. But that internet has you feeling like you got to get on there and be like, stop saying how I look, and stop saying, because she was going through that for a while. But it looks like Bar probably sat her down and say, "Don't go back on there and explain yourself another again.
Fuck them people." That's what Bar done said. Fuck them people. Yeah,
well, listen, don't fuck our kids, okay? Don't fuck over our children, okay? We're about to talk about education in New York State, which should be, what we're going to talk about today needs to be all over the nation and ultimately all over the world.
Yes, so, a brother's doing something very revolutionary, so stay tuned.
Let's bring him on.
So today, our guest is a friend of mine.
We got another friend.
Another friend, a brother that for the last couple of years that I've worked closely with, watched him do so many things, within the educational system and just in the community, period. Like, just watching him be very hands-on and supporting everybody that's doing anything from hip-hop artists to elected officials, and also inside education, because that's where his background is. My brother Dennis Mckesey is an experienced educator who's worked every level of education from daycare to college. And most recently, because people would say think that this all he does, but most recently, he is the founder of OSG, which is short for Off School Grounds.
Absolutely.
And it's a revolutionary organization. And I want to thank you and
My
welcome you
pleasure.
to the show.
My pleasure, family. My pleasure.
Serial educator.
Yes, yes, yes. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here. Obviously, my brother, my son, I've known for a while. And it's funny, Tamika, I've been wanting to meet you or to at least talk to you for so long because we have, mutual friends
Of
like
course.
Jamila T. Davis.
Of course, of course, of
And,
course.
this is truly an honor
Jamila
of
T.
mine.
Davis is all my friends' friend.
Exactly, exactly. So it's an honor to be here, most certainly.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us
Yeah,
today.
so give us a background. Let us know what it is you done, because serial educator from daycare all the way to college.
Yeah.
That's a life. So give us like a background.
My entire family were postal workers, right? So my grandfather, my mother, my father, my sister, my twin brother, and I all worked at the post office at one time or another. And, just getting up every night, going to work, man, it just, to make a dollar, it just wasn't fulfilling enough for me. And then one night, I just said, you know what, this is probably not the move I'm going to make. And I'm going to make a career switch. So the next morning I got up, looked in the newspaper, and I saw an opportunity to work at a school in Westchester, because I grew up in Mount Vernon. And I said, you know what? Let me try that. I left the post office making $18 an hour to making $7.37 at the school because I believed in it so much. I felt that was my passion. That's what I was gonna do. And so I remember when I made that jump, my mom bugged out on me. She was like, "Yo, you bugging? Like, how you gonna do that?" Because at that time I became a father when I was 17 years old. I had my first son, who's now 33. I had him my last year in high school. And so to be able to do that and then say, you know what, I want to make a career shift, he probably been 2 or 3 years old. It was truly a leap of faith for me to do so. So being able to say to myself, I wanted more. I wanted to do more than what my family were able to do. I look back now, almost 30 years later, and I feel like it was a dope move for myself because from there I went from the daycare to school aide to teacher to assistant principal to executive director of an all male school in Brooklyn. And then most recently, for the past 12 years, I've been running my own consulting firm where I support school leaders across the nation. So, I'm supporting principals from New York all the way to Compton and everywhere in between. And then also too, for the past 2 years, I've been an adjunct professor at Columbia University. So really, I've done it almost from cradle all the way through college at this point, in terms of my career. So it has been one heck of a journey. I'm only 50 years old, and but to say that I've run the gamut when it comes to education, man, is an understatement. And I'm just really, really blessed to have said that I can speak about education in the most scholarly fashion, but I could also tell you what it means on a street level as well.
It's funny that you say your mom was like, "What are you doing?" Because black folks, it's like you ain't gonna give up that good job. You know what I mean? That good city
Yeah,
job.
good city
Absolutely.
job.
Stable job. So $7 and what?
37 cents.
37 cents.
I
You
remember it like
remember
it was
that?
yesterday. Yep.
That's taking a cut for sure. And it's funny that we just interviewed not long ago Congressman Jamal Bowman, who was talking about how the federal minimum wage is still $7 and some change, 7.25
That's
or
crazy.
whatever, right? So we still have not. It hasn't changed much. In fact, at that time, it probably was $5 or $4 and change, and you were making a premium.
And you know what? I forgot to tell you, it was part time.
Oh Lord, oh my.
So I was at that time I was working at that school in the morning for $7.37. And then I would take the train down to Harlem and work at Harbor Morningside daycare for I think another $5 and something
Right.
out. So I literally was working two jobs in the profession that I love for basically a total of $13. You know what I'm saying? So I would basically work in the morning to basically pay, because at that time I wasn't driving, to pay the commute to get down to Harlem to work at a daycare. So I left that part of it out because it wasn't a full time job.
So when did you realize that you had a love for education? Like how
You,
did
you
that?
you know what's funny, my son? I always felt like I had a passion for people, right? And I remember at that moment, my brother and I, we went to Hofstra University. We went to Hofstra for a semester, right? But because at that time I had my son, going to Hofstra, playing football and stuff like that. I just felt awkward about leaving my son to go to school, go away to college because we stayed on campus. Um, so then I came back. I said, you know what? This ain't for me to be away. So I came back to Mount Vernon. And in Mount Vernon, they had just opened an extension site for Mercy College, which was in a basement of an elementary school at night. So from 6 to 9 o'clock, I would go to school in this extension site. And I remember there was this big, brawly white guy who was my counselor. He said, I think you should really consider working not only with people, but with children. And because he saw me, he spent so much time with me as my counselor, he was like, I think you should give it a shot. And I trusted him. And I guess from that point, the rest is history because I've also had great experiences in school, right? I had Miss Shannon, who's my third grade teacher, Miss Bracy, who's my fourth grade teacher, Miss Joffrion, who's my fifth grade teacher. I remember black educators who poured into me. In addition to my father being from Jamaica, my mother being from Belize, they had was a high respect for education. So that in conjunction with great teachers when I grew up really pushed me in that area. But I think Jim McGowan is his name. He was the one who really told me that I would be good at this. And I can honestly tell you, he was right. He was the first one to tell me that. And, like I said, I owe a lot to him and people like him who saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself, right? Because from our communities, it's tough sometimes because all we see is what we see. We saw hip hop, we saw hip hop, we saw sports, we saw those type of things, and we looked at a teacher or a principal, and we was like, I don't know if I want to do that. They don't look like they're making no money. I look when I'm coming to school, their cars don't look fly, so I don't know if I want to do that. So it really pushed me in that space after hearing my counselor give me that advice.
Wow. So you tell me, you said your mother was Jamaican.
No, my mother was from Belize.
Your mother's from Belize,
Mhm.
and your father
From Jamaica.
is from Jamaica.
Mhm.
We did a show not long ago where we were talking about how most of my friends that are from whether they're Haiti, from whether they are Haitian or Jamaican or whatever, there is such a focus on education. What do you think that is? Like,
You know what I think? Because for them, they realize that and to go to a great school in those areas, you have to pay for it. And I think my father in particular would say, for us not to take it for granted because in order to get the kind of education we get here in America, people have to pay for it in other areas of the world. So I think that was the thing. But I also feel like just like most parents, you want more for your children than you had for yourself. Like I think he was so much ingrained that it was ingrained in him that education was important, but I also felt deep down inside that he just wanted more for us. And so that's where the push was when it came to that. I don't think it was much more than that, Tamika. I don't think it was something where he had this vision that education would take me this far because my father, who passed away 6 years ago, didn't know the work that I did. He didn't understand that I was already doing some revolutionary stuff in education. I had no idea. My mother, which was crazy, my mother from Belize, she had a really unique way of saying how she felt about us as her children. I defended my dissertation for my doctorate 2.5 years ago. My mother, and I did it virtually. My mom and about 90 other people were on this Zoom. After the Zoom call, they announced me as a recipient of the doctoral degree. My mom said to me, "I didn't know you was that smart." And I had to take what she
It
said
wasn't offense, but you just
yeah.
understood that she just hadn't been engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the crazy part because again, I never took it as she was trying. Yeah, she wasn't trying to play me. It was just her saying like, "Yo, I'm proud of
Wow,
you, son."
yeah, exactly.
And on that particular Zoom, I had Mayor Sean Patterson from Mount Vernon, where I'm from, who was there also to the support. Dame Dash was on it, and you're talking about almost 90 educators to see me do this. But she was like, "Man, like I didn't know you was that smart. Like I didn't." But neither one of them, I think, really had the opportunity to understand what I was doing in the world. They had no idea. It's recently, mind you, my twin brother doesn't really understand what I'm doing. My sister the other day was scrolling through Instagram and realized, like, wow, bro, you doing it. Like, can I get some OSG gear? Like, can I get that type of stuff?
Yeah, I need my hat.
Oh, no, I
They
got you.
stole
I
my
got
hat.
you. I got something for both of y'all. But it's crazy that when people stand that close to you, they kind of take you for granted in a
That's
sense.
what
Oh,
happened. That's the biggest thing.
They
That's
have no
most of the
idea
people
what I
do.
was doing. But
like I'm a big deal out here.
yeah, but you know what's funny? Thank God that I'm reminded of it every day, and I don't ever get big headed about it. But I most certainly, periodically, because both my parents have passed now, I would go to the cemetery and have those conversations now, right? Just even 3 weeks ago, like I was in a space and I said, yo, let me just go pull up on my parents and say what's up and just tell them thank you for giving me this opportunity to be out here making this difference in the world. So I truly can tell you that it's the people that stand closest to you that have no idea as to what it is that you accomplish. So my parents most certainly, I think, had a great, they knew they were doing something. I don't think they had a clue as to the type of battery they put in my back and the influence that they made on my life because, you know, when it was happening, they were still a bit detached from my world.
I mean, that's common. Most people, like you said, most people close to you don't realize, exactly what it is. Because my mother used to say that to me all the time. She used to look at me, and we walk somewhere, and people like, hey, that's my, and they want to take pictures on. She just be looking like, you really somebody.
Wow.
As you know what I'm saying? So,
But let me tell you a quick story about that though. So after so I got my doctorate in February. My mom in April, probably the last week of April, was in Mount Vernon and she was going to the store and she saw Mayor Sean Patterson. And she stopped Mayor Sean Patterson and said, "Hey, how you doing? This is Dennis's mom. I met you on a Zoom and stuff like that." And she already knew who my mom was. My mom didn't know she knew who she was. And what was so dope is that my mom was really bragging on me to Mayor Sean Patterson. That was her moment to say how proud I am of my son because Mayor told me. But unfortunately, the very next day, my mom had a massive stroke. The next day, after meeting Mayor Patterson and saying that to her, she had a massive stroke and have never recovered from it, and unfortunately passed away a few weeks later. But what was so dope about that is that I had the mayor able to tell me what my mother said about me. You know what I'm saying? And then she came and spoke at my mother's funeral and all that stuff as well. So it was dope to know that even as she was departing this earth, she was willing to tell somebody like, I'm proud of my son, even if she wasn't willing to tell me. You
exactly.
There's
know?
nothing like a Caribbean mother speaking about her children.
100%.
The ones that made it. I
Yes.
mean, my. There's such a it's just so heartfelt. It's beautiful. We have a friend, his name is Michael Blake. You know Michael Blake, okay? So his mother, obviously a Jamaican woman. And when she talks about how proud
Yeah,
she
she
is
love
of her son, it's just a beautiful sound.
It is. It's a beautiful. So, tell us about OSG. Like, first of all, what made you just say? So you went through every level of education. You teach. Like, who wakes up and says, "I'm going to create an organization that I pretty much deal with like pretty much actually teach educators." Like,
Yeah.
so explain to us what it is, because I guess I gave a little bit of what it is.
Yeah, nah, no problem. So OSG was birthed out of a labor of love. Let me just start there. Like there is nothing else to be said as to why. What happened was, like I said, for the past 12, almost 13 years now, I've been running my own consulting firm where I'm supporting school leaders across the nation. So when COVID hit, those people that I was traveling across the country to go and see and spend time with and help them to transform their community and transform their schools. Unfortunately, nobody was moving at that time in the world in history. This is the first time anybody's ever experienced something like this, where legit, superstars in the educational field was out there on silos, was out there on islands by themselves, and they were like, "Yo, how do I stay connected to the people that I helped build, right? I helped build many of them to the space that they were in. So being able to say, what can I do? What can I do to bring them together? It was something simple. My son is like, okay, let's put them on a virtual call every single week, do leadership development, but give them a safe space to actually share best practice and their emotions and stuff like that. like I said, what it turned into 4 years later wasn't what I expected. Really, I just wanted to give them a space every week to be part of a group of other leaders across the nation that was feeling the same thing that they was feeling, the same hurt, the same pain, this fear, all that was going on, all
Talk
those
about
emotions.
that. Describe the hurt, the pain, the fear, and what's it like dealing with parents?
Yeah. So I think the thing about, the fear and the hurt and all those things, you got to remember people were dying around school leaders every day. Whether it was their staff members, whether it was the children's parents, the people in the community, their own family. So you have to say, as a school leader, people were still expecting you to come to work and do what you got to do.
So people were dying during COVID. I just want to know
Oh,
because the world said, no, not the world, but there were people who said, "Nah, this is not that. It's not different from the flu. It's the same thing."
it's real, Tamika, that we're talking about communities ravaged by COVID, and where it's funny. There was a point where churches were the hub of the community, and during COVID, even they were shut down. Even they were closed. The one place that remained open during COVID was schools, where people made sure that kids ate during that time, that principals had to go to schools sometimes to make sure that the technology that the kids needed for remote learning was happening. But at the same time, leaving their own family at home. So you can imagine the fear. You didn't know if you walk outside that COVID was going to jump on you the moment you step out the door. But that's what people had to deal with. And so the fear of them catching COVID, leaving their house, was something that they were fearful of. But the more and more you realize that you weren't dealing with this by yourself, when you was dealing with it with a collective other group of people, then we can cry together, we can laugh together, we can talk about this stuff together, we can share best practices on things we're doing. But I think what really what's the telltale of this right now is, when I think about why it was necessary because nobody else was doing nothing for them. They was expected to go to work. They were essential workers, and nobody called them essential workers. You know what I'm saying? Remember this. Not only were kids expected to learn, but kids were expected to eat. Many of our students were coming to school every day, if nothing else, to eat. Now you got COVID that shut it down for 18 months. Somebody got to go make sure that door is open. Somebody got to go make sure that, the kitchen staff is preparing lunch and breakfast for kids who may not be able to eat. So during those times, it was a space where school leaders just didn't have a support group. Everybody had a support group but them. And I just felt like, you know what? I have to do something about it. And that's the idea of off school grounds, is to think about it this way. All the problems that we were dealing with in the schools, where did it happen? Off school grounds. We talk about food insecurities, off school grounds, tech gap, off school grounds, financial literacy issues, off school grounds. So it was I think a fitting name for an organization, because during the pandemic, everything that was done off school grounds, and the principals needed a space in which to come and actually share their best practices and stuff like that as well. So that's where it came from, the whole concept of off school grounds.
So explain to me, what is it now? Has it morphed?
Yeah, so it's now actually a non-for-profit organization right now that focuses on leadership development, with the focus being on school leaders leading communities now, right? Because again, during the time of one of the biggest tragedies of this country's history, who was there doing it? Everybody talked about leading communities, but the one group of people that was always leading communities were school leaders.
Right.
And so I felt like I needed to do something more after the pandemic, which was, let me allow for people to start learning from school leaders now. So if you a mayor, if you a city council, if you a senator, instead of thinking that you have the answer, why don't you sit down and talk to a principal and allow a principal to provide the leadership development that you need to understand how to run a community, right? The greatest intel about what's happening in the community is coming from schools and school leaders. So why, if we're going to change communities, don't you have school leaders at the table? It makes no sense to me.
Nothing about us without us.
Exactly. And so now we've gotten to that place now where I'm saying that there are now, when mayors and chancellors and everybody else, before they go into office, most of them come on my weekly Zoom meeting with the principals. Why? Because they need to know what they need to do when they get in office. You know, I had a conference at Columbia University this weekend, Tamika, and it was, I mean, well over 500 leaders from across the nation. And one of
Amazing event. Amazing
thank
event.
you. And one of my brothers, who's now mayor of Gary, Indiana, Eddie Melton, was in attendance. He came all the way from Gary to learn from these leaders. And I put him on a panel with 4 other school leaders to teach him and to tell him how to now do that stuff in his school district. And so the leadership, I felt like it needed to be done by way of what's happening with the schools. And I think the school leaders themselves are the true community leaders now. Not saying that they're not, that other people aren't, that other leaders aren't trying and aren't doing great things. I just say that most of what we're trying to fix, it can be found in schools, right? If we say if issues around poverty, how do you see that? Where do you see that mostly? You see it in schools.
With our kids, yeah, and their families.
And their families, right? So that's why I think the concept of Off School Grounds as a not-for-profit organization is now to create this space where educational leaders are the ones teaching other leaders throughout the community how to lead young people and things like that. And so that's what it's, what
it has become. First of all, do you engage parents?
Yes.
And how important would you say parent participation is in the process? Like, do you believe, I know some parents that their kids are doing really well and they're not active at all. They're just not. They don't have time. They got 2 jobs, this and that. There may or may not be a dad or a mom. More than likely not a dad. And they just don't have the time. But they tell their kids, don't have that damn school. Call me about anything. And that's when they get involved at the point that the phone rings.
Yes.
So what would you say about parent involvement? Is it parent involvement or is it just having a good household? Like,
yeah, I think it's both. I think, parent engagement is important. I think having a solid household is important. However, in many instances that's not the case, right? And that's why I say schools have become the hub. Schools have become, in some instances, parents have become the family, have become that person. Listen, I experienced something about 2 weeks ago in a school where there was a young lady who came to school and she began to ask the staff members and then ended up with the principal and asked could they adopt her because she was being bounced from foster care to foster care and she wanted something more stable. That she got to the point at 13, 14 years old of feeling comfortable of asking them to be her parent. And so I think parents do as good of a job as they can in many instances. And I think we should hold them accountable. But I also know that if a person is working 2 jobs, if a person is doing their very best, I think as a school we can do a little bit more. And we can't look at it from the traditional sense of what parent engagement is. Coming to a PTA meeting isn't always about parent engagement.
wow.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to say to yourself, if that parent just, again, drops their child off in the morning and you say good morning, they say good morning, that's engagement, right? It don't have to be, let's go sit down at a bake sale and cookies and all that stuff like that. But I am saying that the schools, I put a great emphasis on school leaders stepping in areas that there are these voids. Because our community has been this way forever,
Did
right?
anybody adopt a girl?
You know what? It's funny. I actually had somebody in another borough reach out to the principal, and they were looking to place a girl in this new household. So yeah, so it's one of those things, family, that we got to get to the understanding that what things used to look like and be, it's not the same no more. It's not the same.
Give an example of that.
That when we say, again, parent engagement, again, if a mom is doing the very best she can as a single mom or a dad as a single dad, and their child is having difficulties, right? With the mental anguish that many of our kids are going through, a parent can't help that all the time. What are you going to do, beat them? Like, you got to say to yourself, the way the world has changed over the past 3 to 4 years, and people talk about learning loss. Guess who else experienced learning loss? Parents. A parent is now expected to do things that they didn't know how to do.
Right.
You send that kid home for 18 months and you tell this parent to now teach.
That's how long we were out of school?
Yeah. 18 months.
Wow.
And so you got to say, we talk about learning loss for children, we got to think about learning loss for every adult that was responsible for working with children as well. Again, a kid is home with one hotspot and four siblings and a mom and a dad who is trying to just pay bills. It's a very difficult concept to understand and grasp, and we got to become honest about that. That the majority of parents out here that are doing the best that they can need to be acknowledged for that. And in the schools, we got a lot of resources. We got a lot of money in schools. People say we don't, but there's enough money for us to think about ways to support families and communities. And so I say that parent engagement is one of them. I also think another thing that has evolved and changed is how children are learning. There is this new generation, this alpha generation of young people. This is a new generation. They were born with iPads and iPhones in their hands. And what happened was we send them to school. For 18 months, they use iPhones and iPads and laptops. Now they come back to school. You take away the laptops, the iPhones, and the iPads, and kids are expected to learn through textbooks again. So therein lies, again, a need for us to have those conversations with people who are making the real decisions for our children. Because if you're not an educator, you don't know this. If you don't see this every day, you don't understand that. So the evolution of education has gotten to a point where we have to become really radical about our approach now. And let's stop blaming people for that stuff. Let's stop diagnosing the problem and saying, well, parents aren't involved. We've been saying that for as long as I've been alive, right? Oh, parents aren't involved. Parents aren't involved. But there's still people who are successful as a result of it. You know what I'm saying? So at one time it was because the church helped. It was because the basketball programs helped. The YMCA's helped. And when those things went away, the one thing that stayed constant was the school.
I'm just amazed, man, because I remember during COVID when I first met you,
Yeah.
and I came on to the Zoom.
Yeah.
And that's when I had my first book.
Yes.
I Know My Rights, and it was all these educators on there, and it was just, and I was like, wow, and everybody was engaging. It was Dame Dash. It was so many different people, and the experience was just amazing. Just experience, and a lot of people reached out to me. A lot of principals reached out to me. I built relationships with them. They brought me when school got back in. They brought me to schools. You know what I'm saying? It created a network. So just watching full circle, going to the conference, and being in the room with all these educators and they dope educators, mainly black and Hispanic educators that come from where we come from, and they brilliant individuals, and they got swag. You know what I'm saying?
No question.
And it's like understanding this is the education that our kids are going to respect. And then when you go you brought me into each of the rooms where the educators are teaching their classes, or they're having their seminars in each room and each breakout session. And one is talking about how you engage the kids and about understanding that they're going to be people that push back. And then one is giving you methods and strategies to understand on how when the kids learning and what needs to be present. And then there's one talking about how do you use the internet and hip hop to teach the kids. And it's just like, wow, this is innovative ways of thinking that I've always understood, especially young black boys, because they say that we are the ones that are not engaged as much. What do you say about that?
Well, you know what? Again, I think that's where you break down the silos, and that's when you allow other professions such as hip hop and politics and other things in the room, right? Because young people, especially boys, they're gonna be what they see. And if they don't see themselves as anything other than basketball players, drug dealers, or rappers, that's all they're going to be. One of the things I wanted to make happen is I want you to understand that being a principal is cool. You know what I'm saying? Being a school leader is cool. Like running your own educational consulting firm is cool. And I'm going to do it in Jordans, and I'm going to do it in Air Max, and I'm going to make sure that I'm swagged out with it. But I think I want to keep pushing the narrative is that what we thought principals and school leaders were like, that's not the real deal. When people say that educators, there's only 2 or 3% of educators that are black males, that might be true until you put the 2% in a room, like you saw at the conference.
That's right.
When you see 200 black male educators in the room, that changes the narrative now, right? But it also means if we all pull up to somebody's school as black educators, that kid who's saying, you know what do y'all do? He's not going to look at me as homicide. He's not going to look at me as a detective, because I'm now telling him, no, I was a principal for 10 years. I've been in education for 30 years. So now he aspires to be that. And so I think one of the things that I talked about at the conference was us us stopping this reputation bashing around education, right? We keep passing this dirty needle about education being a bad thing. We don't get enough money. It's a stressful job. It's challenging, all that stuff like that. I'm like, why would a kid then want to be me?
Right.
Why would a kid want to be me when he just heard you say how bad of a profession this is? So I'm saying, let's be real about it now. Let's talk about education from the perspective of real being game changers and us being able to do it and say, be our authentic selves in doing so. But when you see it for yourself, as you did this weekend, and as you've been seeing, and again, Tamika, you've been in a lot of schools too,
Oh, of course, yeah.
and you see it. You see a lot of black educators.
I see a lot of black, but I do not see a lot of black male educators.
Yes.
And certainly not a lot of black male principals. Although I probably know more black male principals than I do black male teachers.
Yes, but you see, that's the thing, right? Because we are out here. It's just that
Absolutely.
we just don't have a platform to be showcased. Hence, that's why I have the conference. That's why I do my weekly Zooms. That's why I do my best to bring hip hop and advocacy and everything into the space, because we need your voices to amplify that they are out here. You know, because when Mysonne every Friday you in Newark, New Jersey with our boy Akbar Cook, principal of Westside High. You met Principal Ra from Compton. One of my other principal friends who's a principal at a jail in Chicago, McGrone. But we don't see it.
Right. And no one is going to exploit it, if you will. They're not going to promote it. They don't want that. I mean, that how does that work in favor of those who don't want to see black men succeed? And just speaking of that, as we wind down, we're talking. You mentioned politics several times, and during our recent interview with Congressman Bowman, who was also a principal, he talked about wanting to run for office because he understood from a policy perspective that everything happening within the school, whether it's the children that need to eat, to your point, whether it's the abuse that kids are suffering or families that are not secure, housing insecurities, all of that is directly connected to policy decisions at the local, state, and federal level. So how does your organization consider that as part of your advocacy and what you're attempting to do?
Yeah, so again, I'll mention that at our conference actually had the New York State Board of Regents Chancellor, Dr. Lester Young, who was our keynote speaker. And one of the things that he and I are working on currently is to get OSG and principals from across the nation to actually come up to Albany more frequently to lobby for what the needs are in our community. And so I use him as an example because we do have people in those places, right? We are talking about the Board of Regents of New York State. That man is over every school pretty much in New York State. So in conversing with him, he sees this and he says, I didn't even know this existed this way. So that means when I have something that needs to be lobbied for, I can call on OSG to come up and to be a part of that. And I said, absolutely yes. But because Tamika, we talked about a minute ago, because we're not seen in that space, they don't know we exist. So needing you all and other, that's where the hip hop, family comes into play. Is because somebody's going to listen to my song as he stands close to me, right, a little different than I'm standing by myself, right? They're going to listen to Freeway and Dame and Jada and all those other people if they stand next to me about education. And so I think in terms of politics, I'm also engaging. That's why the conversation is around leadership, and that if a mayor or for an elected official are speaking to principals now, and they ask us, well, what's the problems? And we tell you what the problems are. And they said, we just need y'all to come and lobby for it.
Yeah.
And we
take a picture.
Take a picture. Then let's go do that. So I do think that politics and education actually go hand in hand. I think, again, we make people run away from politics because of some of the politicians that we see that have been in the history of this country. We don't want our kids to get into it, but we got to make it cool again, right? We got to make everything that we do cool. From again, being a politician to being an educator, we have to be able to make it look cool. So I do push this narrative once again that as an educator, what works for me is to be able to say, you know what, Tamika, I mean, I've been in spaces with you and Yandy, coming to the schools and doing some dope things with children. But as an educator, that makes me proud because I know they didn't come on the strength of them just themselves. They came to be a part of a
Oh
community.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were part of the whole hub of the school at that moment. And so I just think in terms of politics, I just try to keep things real simple. You know, a lot of times things aren't happening because people don't really know what's happening. And I do have a thing that I tell people: there's an inner city and there's the inner city, right? Most people never know what's happening on the inner city. You don't really know what's happening in Brownsville. You know what I'm saying? You know what happened in Ocean Hill. You don't really know what's happening in the South Bronx. You know what's happening in the North Bronx by White Plains Road. You don't always know what's happening in Mount Vernon because you think it's Westchester and you don't understand that we were transformed from money earning Mount Vernon to Murderville, during that time. So people don't quite get it, and I don't expect them to. But then that's when we all collectively have to tell them,
Tell the story.
tell the story.
Yes,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Tell the real story, and that the things that are being rapped about or talked about in conjunction with us standing alongside you, say that's real. One of our principals just 2 days ago was dealing with a shooting outside of his school, and that got some local press, but it's not the same as if this was a shooting in some other community. Like it's almost normal. They normalized it, or when they do it, when they bring the media there, is to tear him down. It's not to tell the story
Story
of
of the
gun
community.
violence and the community that he has to fight through every day just to educate children. So I do think that there has to be a stronger emphasis on us partnering with everybody who makes up our community, our Black community, and you all are most certainly the people that we turn to help us to do that, because my conference was dope. But my conference was dope because Mysonne came and Earn Your Leisure came and Dame Dash came and Freeway came and Graph came, because no one has ever seen a collective group of people like this doing what we did for young people. So that's really, my story about this is that this is, a conversation about how we got to be more inclusive about the changes needed.
Contrary to what you think, that conference was dope because y'all was there.
Thank you.
We was looking like, wow. Like me and Graf and all of us
Yeah.
and On Your Leisure was like, yo, this is dope. Just seeing educators in the room like that have that much energy and really wanting to learn. Like they was sitting there, they want to be able to, you could look and see these ain't people that just got a job and they like, yo, I gotta go to this job. No, we want to educate our kids, and I seen them taking notes, and I seen when they heard something good and they was writing it down. Like that's what I want to see for educators.
But I want you guys to also too, as artists, to understand too that we have been transformed because of what y'all did for us too. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. That let's not get into the habit of believing
Well,
that
it's a beautiful thing to be in competition of who made
Yes.
the
Made the
most
most
change
Exactly.
and did the best
Exactly.
things on behalf of our
because
kids.
I know as a principal, I'm driving to work listening to hip hop.
Yeah.
And I know principals are still doing that. So you all are part of who we've become. And so you all look at us in awe, we look at y'all in awe, and everybody's like, yo, this is dope.
Well,
and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
we
It takes
I want to say,
everybody.
I appreciate you.
Thank you,
man.
brother.
Let them
Thank
know
you.
where to find you.
Absolutely.
So they could give them all your socials.
Yeah, so
And
again,
is it a nonprofit?
yes, nonprofit.
So people can send you money?
They can.
Yes.
They can.
Oh,
So
tell
go to
the
the
people.
official Off School Grounds, the official OSG on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Dennis Mckesey on LinkedIn.
Here's a brother right here, Dennis Mckesey, who is doing something about our young people. And you can't help anyone if you can't heal if you are not healed. And so to provide a space for educators to go and leaders to go so that they can pour out all the things and the ideas and the creativity and the pain and frustration, and then be poured back into so that they can go and pour into our children. I think this is critical work. You're doing critical work,
Thank
and
you.
we support you 100%.
110%.
Thank
Yes.
y'all, family. I appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you for joining us.
Thank
on
you for
Thank
joining
you.
you,
My
King.
pleasure.
Appreciate
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Shout out to my boy Dennis Mckesey, man. The work he's doing
It's
is
amazing.
evolutionary, revolutionary.
And you can tell he's passionate.
He's
Like, he wanna
passionate.
talk about it.
Listen, man, you got to see him in his mode. You know what I'm saying? He's in the schools, he's mentoring, he's dealing with the teachers and the principals, and they engaged. You know what I'm saying? You could tell he actually loves what he does, man. And they just recently celebrated 4 years.
4
Since
years.
so it's been 4 years since COVID, because that's when it started during COVID. And that's when I was first on the episode.
I'm so glad that he has helped to dispel the myth that
Ain't no black men teaching.
no, well, also the COVID thing, but
Oh, you couldn't wait for
I
that.
think it's important to mention again, and I didn't want to cut him off, but that a lot of people didn't die because they had COVID. They died because America and our systems are incompetent. Someone said to me the other day, let us have aspirational language versus having using language that is always so much of an indictment. So yes, there are many things that are done properly within the healthcare system. People's lives have been saved. Healthcare workers are doing an incredible job with the little bit they have. When I say the system, I am not talking about nurse and even doctor so and so. I'm saying that America, fundamentally, the systems, the way it is designed, there is so much racism. There is so much just inequity that exists that even if you are a nurse or a doctor that is attempting to do the right thing, you don't always have the tools that you need or the support that you need, the resources that you need, and the research that you need to work, especially in certain communities. And so, hopefully, what we learned from a pandemic, and by the way, everybody's like, oh, Trump, it was better because we got a check with his signature on it. Well, guess what? Other checks he cashed while he was, or sent out to people while he was in office. He sent the check out of delaying the process for people to even get the health care support that they needed. So there were people who he wouldn't send masks. And by the way, the Republican Party voted against even giving people checks. As much as I can challenge Nancy Pelosi and all of these folks, I will tell you that they were the ones that fought to get checks into the pockets, the bank
This
accounts
is true.
and the pockets of American citizens. And that was because Donald Trump was either ignoring the crisis and his administration, and or they were trying to cover it up because they did not want during a political season
Yeah.
for his legacy to be impacted by COVID. And so it's so much that can be said about that, but I guess we got to close the show.
Yeah.
Gave you the PPP, but not
Not
the
the
PPE.
You got the PvP. That was dope. That was a good one. But that brings me to my I don't get it.
What don't you get, Mr. Lennon?
I want to know, what is the infatuation that the world has with who someone's fucking? Right? Why do you care about who somebody else is having sex with? What is the infatuation with other people in their sex life? That this world, like everywhere you go, somebody's telling you, oh, such and such is having sex. And this person, like, why do people care so much?
Most people who are highly successful and busy or trying to be successful, they might hear about it in passing and laugh about it, maybe share a meme with a friend, but they don't really care that much. So it's just certain types of people that are so into other people's lives. And I don't really know, because it doesn't really, the way that I see it in life is that everybody, unless you are abstinent, is sleeping with somebody. Hopefully are engaged in consensual behavior. Let's please, God.
It's consensual.
Please. But I don't know why people care so much.
It's just like
I don't know why people care so much about who's gay.
Yeah,
That
just
to
an
me
over
is like the most. It's just so. I would not. First of all, I don't believe in outing people or trying to force people to say who they sleep with. I would like to know that if you are in a relationship with me, or with a person, that you do your due diligence to let them know about your lifestyle choices. But I don't know why it's such a big deal. So and so is gay and such. Like, why? Why do you want to out people in that? I've never understood that.
I think in that term is that people not being honest.
Well,
'Cause
why do I
nobody
have
outs,
to be honest?
Well, it's
Only
like the
person
same
that I
thing.
have to be
but
honest with.
the thing is, if you around, even if you're not in a sexual relationship with somebody and you in somebody's space commonly, and that's something that people should want to know.
No, it's not.
It is.
I don't agree with that. If first of all, it
Well,
is
I
it
would
is
wanna know.
sexist. Let me tell you why it's sexist. And in this case, I'm gonna say it's sexist for men. against men because most men do not care who a woman sleeps with. In a group of friends, I'm hanging out with you, Janice, Anastasia, our crew, everybody, and I sleep with women as a woman.
And you don't, and I
I'm
don't
telling
know.
you that
And we
nobody
cool,
is going to
and me and you
even.
is cool, and we
They're
on the
not going to
regular. And I
even
find out,
ask.
I would feel weird. Like
Why would
but
you
why
worry
you say
about the
that?
why? So now let me turn the I don't get it back on you. Why are you infatuated with who I'm
It's
sleeping
not
with?
no,
That's my
but
business.
it was not just your
Like
business.
Tabitha Brown said, that's my
If
business.
we in close proximity, we call ourselves friends.
So I gotta tell you who
I
I
don't think you
sleep with.
gotta tell me, but I'm just thinking if you didn't tell me, then that would make me wonder why.
Maybe because I'm a private person and I just don't want anybody to know what I do.
Yeah, but at that point, then it's
The only time
then I
that
have to
I need
question
to
the
tell you,
friendship.
no, it's not, because friendship doesn't mean that you have to know every single thing about me.
No.
The only time that I need to tell you that I'm sleeping with anybody or whatever my situation, my preferences are, my whatever it is if now I'm about to sleep with you. But if long as you and I are not together, who I'm sleeping with should not be your concern.
I don't know if it shouldn't. I hear what you're saying. I just think.
And I think it's sexist towards men because what generally happens is that men who are around other men feel that they should know that one of the guys is gay.
Because what happens is it's also because it's also perception, right? Right? Because if I'm hanging with somebody that's gay and everybody else knows they're gay except me, then what happens is there can be some people can draw a conclusion about something that might not be there.
Okay, so but what I'm
So
what
I
if
think
the person doesn't talk to people period about what they do? They do their thing with whoever they people are, but they're not a person like most people around don't know. I'm saying people should, until a person is actually sexual or in an intimate relationship with you, they should be able to
I
keep
think
to
it's different for men.
themselves. Yeah, I know it is.
I
and
think it's different for
sexist.
men. I don't know if it's sexist. I just think there's a reality that's based on society, that reality that we deal
Exactly.
with.
And you
right?
are now answering your own question.
What?
It's the question you have asked and answered the question that society places different values
But
on what
me and
people
somebody
should tell
else
you.
on the internet or celebrity, that's a different thing than somebody that's in
It's
close
the same
proximity to
mindset.
me.
It's the same mindset that people have decided that they have a right to know about someone's personal thing that they might want to keep to themselves. Right? That they shouldn't want to. The only time you should want to know about somebody's
I don't agree with that. I tell you, it's
Tucci
different.
and
It's different for
is-
men. If the reality that we live with in America is if a straight man hangs out with a gay man on a daily basis, nobody believes that there's not something going on. That's just the reality. Unfortunately, that's just the fact. If you see a straight man hang out with a gay man,
we don't use the term straight.
okay, if you see a heterosexual man
Exactly.
hang out with a gay man, then there's an assumption that there's some level of relationship there. That's just the reality that we dealing with. So understanding that reality, I think a man who understands that he's gay and likes men should give you the opportunity or to know that.
All I would say is sexist. Brothers, fight for yourselves. Don't let these people make y'all feel like y'all got to tell people stuff, but don't be out here having sex with people and not telling people who you are and your what you are, what your preferences are, because that shit is dangerous. So that's it. So you answered your own question.
I don't think I answered another question. It wasn't my own question.
No, you did. That's
No.
why people are infatuated, because people place value on certain things. They want to know who you sleep with.
But I'm
They
not
want to know
talking-
how much money you
I
have.
guess. I guess if you say so. I don't think it's the same thing, but another episode in the books. Shout out to Dennis Mckesey,
It was great.
brother OSG. Make sure you follow him. He's doing great work. Invest in his organization.
Do that.
You know, it's about education.
Give
It's about
some
our
resources.
kids, and they're doing the work. They're empowering our community, our educators who don't get the light and aren't even paid the way they should. But he has a group of incredible educators, and his program is amazing. So shout out to him. And another episode down the books. You know, TMI, the number one podcast in the world, Tamika and Mysonne's
Lord have
information,
mercy.
truth, motivation, and inspiration. I'm not going to always be right. Miss Mallory's not going to always be wrong. But we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it. That's how we own it. That's how we own it.
Check out the video version of TMI.
Every single Wednesday on iWoman.tv.
That's how we own it.